Kemberly Richardson, one of the reporters that has been down there since day one, keeping an eye on the courtroom and the activities outside. Kemberly?
Well, Sandra and Mike, we have to look at this as somewhat of a fall from grace from Sean Combs. It has been years in the making. This all started again back in November 16th, exactly, of 2023, when Cassie Ventura filed that civil lawsuit alleging she was trapped in this cycle of abuse. We then learned about the so-called freak-offs or hotel nights. There were a lot of intimate, explicit details of Sean Combs' life that were revealed. To show you what this is all about, take a listen. I mapped it out. See what you think.
A luxurious lifestyle filled with nothing but the best of the best. From the outside, Sean Combs appeared to be on top of the world, well on his way to becoming a billionaire. But his house of cards came crashing down September 16th of 2024. Federal agents arrested the then 54-year-old inside a Midtown Manhattan hotel. Several months earlier, investigators raided his mansions in LA and Miami and found evidence they maintain that pulls back the curtain and reveals a much darker side of the music mogul. Throughout the home, what seemed like an endless supply of baby oil and lubricants, a cache of weapons, ammunition, and drugs. Prosecutors insist for 20 years Combs was the ringleader of a criminal enterprise that, quote, abused, threatened, and coerced women into sometimes days-long drug-fueled sex parties. Paid male escorts brought in from all over the country allegedly took part in the so-called freak-offs, also referred to as Wild King Nights, while Combs watched and pleasured himself. Following his arrest, Combs, who pleaded not guilty, insisting the sex acts were consensual, turned down a plea deal and a trial date was set. Over the next 7 weeks, jurors would get a peek into Combs' world, listen to testimony from more than 30 prosecution witnesses, see hundreds of exhibits, including video of freak-offs, hear voice messages. Combs in his own words.
It's all good. Get your rest. You are the crack pipe. That's my new name for you, crack pipe. Or should I call you CP?
Monday, May 12th, day one of testimony in the racketeering and sex trafficking trial. Combs' family arrived at the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. For the first time, those in the courtroom saw additional footage from an altercation between Combs and his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, inside an LA hotel in 2016. Video, a security guard testified Combs paid him $100,000 to make it go away. But the footage was leaked in May of 2024, months after Ventura filed a lawsuit claiming Combs subjected her to years of physical abuse, a suit he settled the next day, Ventura says, for $20 million. Ventura, who was 9 months pregnant when she took the stand on day 2 of the trial, told jurors in that video she's trying to get away from Combs during a freak-off after he assaulted her. The defense said it was simply a fight over a cell phone. Prosecutors say one way Combs controlled women, including an ex who testified under the name Jane, was by videotaping the freak-offs and threatening to release the recordings. Jane, a single mom, detailed what she called hotel nights, during which Combs would choreograph and direct sex acts between herself and a roster of male escorts. In an audio recording, you hear a conversation between Ventura and a man who claims to have seen a sexually explicit video of her. She tried to find out more, and when he sidestepped her questions, she threatened to kill him.
I will kill you if you don't show me right now. I will kill you, and I will hide you, and I will cut you up and put you in the dirt right now.
Ventura was on the stand for 4 days, giving birth to a baby boy May 27th. Jurors heard testimony from a makeup artist and a male escort who said they witnessed Combs' violence. Ventura's mother, who said she took out a home equity loan after Combs allegedly blackmailed her daughter. Several people in Combs' innermost circle took the stand, some under immunity deals, sharing how they catered to his every whim, including cleaning up after sex parties, paying thousands of dollars for damage to the hotel rooms. Combs' team of lawyers, a total of 9, from the very beginning, during opening statements until the end, said, quote, Combs is a complicated man, but this is not a complicated case. The case is about love, jealousy, infidelity, and money, not sex trafficking. If convicted of all counts, Combs could spend the rest of his life in prison.
And of course, we now know that Mr. Combs was convicted 2 counts, what most legal experts consider the lesser of the 5 counts. The RICO charge, the biggest charge against him, he was found not guilty. We have just, in fact, received a statement from the prosecutors in this case. I will read a portion of that statement. Sex crimes deeply scar victims, and the disturbing reality is that sex crimes are all too present in many aspects of our society. Victims endure gut-wrenching physical and mental abuse, leading to lasting trauma. New Yorkers and all Americans want this scourge stopped and the perpetrators brought to justice. Prosecuting sex crimes requires brave victims to come forward and tell their harrowing stories. We and our law enforcement partners recognize the hardships that these victims endure and have prioritized a victim-centered approach to investigating and prosecuting these cases. You have to imagine, as Shauna pointed out earlier, of course, the prosecution disappointed in how these verdicts fell.
No doubt a lot of questions being asked amongst themselves in the Southern District of New York as we continue to take a live look at 500 Pearl Street, which is the address for the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan, where we expect at some point attorneys will come out and give some comments, although I suspect it will likely be after that 1 p.m. deadline, because they are working on a deadline to present whether or not Sean Combs should be released on some sort of bond package. As we wait for that, you'll hear the news conferences whenever they happen, if they're now or throughout the day, whenever they take to the podium to hear exactly how they viewed what went down today. Kemberly Richardson still outside the courthouse as we talk about the legal breakdown of everything the jury decided today. Kem?
Yes, and I'm joining now with one of the leading legal experts who's been out here every step of the way in the courtroom, analyzing every bit and piece. This is Terry Austin. Terry, thanks for joining us.
Of course, I'm happy to be here.
Terry, talk about, we just mentioned that 1 o'clock deadline today for both sides to present letters, why he shouldn't be let out, why Combs should be kept in until a sentence is. What is your thoughts there?
Well, first of all, Mark Agnifilo got right up right away and said, look, the acquittal on those top charges for the RICO conspiracy and for the sex trafficking means it's only the Mann Act, and I'm applying for bail for my client. And so what the judge wants is some sort of backup for that request. He said he'll, have $1 million, he'll have co-signers, he'll take away the passport, but the judge wants both sides to present case law to say under these circumstances, particularly with the Mann Act, there is a 10-year maximum should he allow Combs to get out on bail and not go back to that Metropolitan Detention Center. And I will tell you, Sean Combs pleaded like this to the judge. He had his hands up like that, and the whole room, especially on the defense side, was listening intently to see where the judge might go. And frankly, the judge began asking questions, and I think there is some possibility that after he reads these 2 letters, he may just grant bail.
Well, one of the things that was brought up when he applied for the bail packages, when he was right after he was arrested, there was a flight risk, there was fear of flight risk. There was also victims who said they were terrified that even behind bars, Combs could reach them or have second and third people reach him. Is that going to be considered with this new application?
Absolutely. And Maureen Comey, who is the lead attorney for the prosecution, said exactly that. She said there is a flight risk, and she mentioned all of the reasons why he didn't get bail in the first place. Mark Agnifilo got back up and he said, Your Honor, my client recognizes the seriousness of this. He recognizes the fact that he could have gotten life. There is no way he's going to do anything to in any way affect his bail. He will do whatever you need him to do. It's very important that he be out. So I do think Mark Agnifilo made sure the judge understood the chances of him trying to flee is nil.
You were in the court. You were in that courtroom day in and day out. Are you surprised where we are right now with the verdict? Given Note 6 yesterday, found a verdict on 2 through 5. We didn't know about 1. Are you surprised where we are right now?
I am a little surprised.
Tell me more.
I did think that for the sex trafficking for Cassie, that might be a guilty. The sex trafficking for Jane, I think that was somewhat up in the air. To get not guilty sex trafficking both victims was a little surprising. I think there was evidence for Cassie, particularly that March 5th, 2016 tape where you see her coming out of a hotel night and he forces her to the ground, he's dragging her. I would have thought that that jury said to themselves, that's sex trafficking, but they didn't. And so, yes, I'm a little surprised. I'm not surprised about the Mann Act. I did think when you have transportation of escorts, you are paying them for commercial sex activity. That's a hands down. I did expect that.
And getting back to the sex trafficking, the defense all along, and Sean Combs maintained his innocence, they said you did not charge him for domestic violence. Yes, there was abuse. Yes, and it went both ways. Do you think that's what the jury held onto in their minds and said, wait a minute?
Absolutely, they held on to that. They mentioned that during the opening statements. They mentioned that during the closing arguments. That was the whole theme. One of the things Mark Agnifilo said is this is a tale of 2 stories. There is the prosecution story, and obviously there's the Sean Combs story. You don't want the prosecution coming into your bedroom. That's what they did here, and I do think the jury was thinking about that in the back of their minds. Yes, it's terrible what he did. Yes, it's domestic violence, but it's not RICO, it's not sex trafficking, and I think that stuck with them.
What, if anything, does this verdict play? And we have civil suits following. At one point, Sean Combs was on his way to being a billionaire. As we mentioned, he has beautiful mansions in Miami, Star Island, and also in Los Angeles. Now with the verdict and looking at the civil suits, do those properties and his fortune, is that at stake in any way?
Well, at one point, he was #1 on the Forbes list. He has a lot of money. He's paying a lot of money to his lawyers at this point. And yes, some of those civil suits, we can imagine he may be paying for that as well. So he will be going through some of his finances. But I do think at the end of the day, he'll be able to keep his properties. I mean, obviously, he's still making money. So whatever he has to pay, I think he can afford. Now, I don't have his financial records, but I think if anybody can afford to pay off all these over a dozen civil suits and to essentially make sure he's good on the bail money, I think he can more than probably most of us.
Thank you, Terry, very much.
It's so great to be with you.
Yes, definitely. So that's it. We have a lot ahead of us. There's still things that need to be answered, and as all those answers come out, we will bring them right to you. Back to you guys in the studio.